Year is going to be, I think I'd bet my house on it, really like nothing we've ever seen in the country. And everyone can kind of feel that. You know, most of our perceptions come through intuition rather than reason. And if you have dogs, you know this because they can't understand literally a word you say because they don't speak English, hardly any of them. But if you're close to your dog, you know the dog knows exactly what's going on, knows when it's time to go out, knows when you're going on a trip. Why is that? Because they don't hear anything, they just watch and they feel. And people are very much the same. And if something bad is about to happen, everybody gets jumpy. And everybody's really jumpy right now. So I'm not here to, make your anger and paranoia worse, just the opposite. I'm here merely to suggest a couple of things that I think you could do about it. The first thing I think that's really important as you stare down the next 12 months is to accept the fact that that all your senses are telling you the truth. A good friend of mine called Gavin DeBecker once wrote a book, the thesis of which was every feeling, every gut level feeling you've ever had is real, is totally true. That your gut is the one thing that doesn't lie to you. Your gut only has your interest in mind. It is not trying to sell you a product or convince you to vote for it. It's acting solely on your behalf. So if you get a very strong message from your viscera, from your intuition, obey it. And if you feel that something very intense and history-changing is about to happen, don't ignore it. Don't panic. There's no profit in that. You can't control it. You're not in charge of history. No offense, none of us is. But that is absolutely real. This can't be resolved in an orderly way. And it won't be, period. This can't be resolved in an orderly way. And it won't be, period. So how do you respond to that? Well, the first thing you need to do is understand the terms and the stakes of what's going on. The big lie that we tell ourselves, and that I have told many times, is that this is political. This is not political. What we're watching is not political. This is not politics. What's happening is bad behavior for its own sake. There is no upside to the great trends of our age. There's no upside to pushing transgenderism on kids, period. None. What you're seeing is evil done for its own sake. Hurting people done for the sake of hurting people. That's exactly what you're seeing. And then there's the question of lying. The kinds of lies that we're hearing are not conventional lies at all. They're the inversion of the truth. They're the exact opposite. They're the mirror image of what is true. And anyone who has kids knows exactly what I'm talking about. All kids lie. This is how you know it's inherent to the human condition. All kids lie. Even your beloved little Dylan, he lies, okay? But they lie in a very specific way. So you come down for breakfast, you open the cabinet, and like half the Oreos are gone. And you say, Dylan, did you eat an Oreo? And he's like, oh, no. You ate an Oreo, didn't you? Yeah, just one. Dylan, there are 12 Oreos gone. Well, maybe 2. You get it. He's lying, he knows he's lying, he's ashamed of what he did, he's trying to hide it, you caught him, he's doubly ashamed you caught him, and so he's trying to hedge a little bit. Well, it's not as bad as you think. I'm not that bad. A person only ate 2, I didn't eat 12. And instead of, smacking him and saying, you liar, you get it, right? If Dylan worked in the Biden administration, he would stare right in your eyes and smile and say, I didn't eat any Oreos. You did. You ate the Oreos. You ate the Oreos. And he would be so calm and unperturbed and so certain of your guilt that in your mind you would think, shit, did I eat the Oreos? Maybe I did, maybe I sleptwalked. Because we're not used to dealing with people who can lie without guilt. And it takes a very rare moment to see lying at this scale. But the final fact that makes this moment different is that they're not just lying, they hate the truth. They're not just lying, they hate the truth. And if you are governed by people who actively hate the truth and who lie for the sheer animal thrill of doing so, you are living in a dark time under very dark people. And the stakes are the ultimate stakes. It's not about who gets elected. It's about what happens to the world in your soul. And so my advice, what can you do about that? I think the only way to stay alive and fully human in a moment like this is to resolve that you are going to tell the truth in every and all circumstance. And if you can't say it out loud, stay silent. If it's going to hurt the feelings of someone you love, that's an absolutely justifiable reason to be quiet. But you should never allow yourself to repeat anything that you know is not true. That will destroy you. That is the mark not of a free man or a citizen, but of a slave. That is the difference between freedom and slavery, is the right to say what you actually think. That is the line. And anyone who is trying to force you to lie is A, your enemy, and B, believes that you are subhuman. Because that's not the way you treat adults. By definition, you have to deal with adults. They may have different views, different interests, different goals, and you have to contend with them through the aforementioned process of politics, through negotiations. I want this, you want that, let me convince you. You are not allowed to say to a free adult citizen, shut up, you must do this. Under no circumstances can you do that. You can't do that in the middle of a pandemic. You can't do that in the middle of a war. You can't do that under any circumstances, or else you are no longer a citizen, you are a slave. And worse than that, you have degraded yourself. And that's the real cost. Clearly the people who run things see the rest of us as slaves. That's obvious to me. I can't imagine how it could be more obvious. It's crystal clear. They don't seek consensus. They're not interested in the public's opinion. The overlap between the list of things that people care about in this country and the list of things that Congress and the White House actually do, there's none. There's no overlap at all. So the truth is, it's very hard to fight that. I'm not exactly sure how, but I know that it begins with the strength inside you. If you are weak, you will never prevail. And that explains their determined effort to make you weak by feeding you poisonous garbage, by trying to make you take medicine that is not at all medicine, by their insistence that you shut up and hate yourself, by their claim that your children are not your own. They have no interest in you having dignity. In fact, your dignity and strength is a threat to them. That's why they closed the gyms and kept the weed dispensaries open. That's why the churches were shut down, but the strip bars weren't. And I'm not attacking strip bars in Vegas. I'm merely saying, what is that? And of course, it's a determined, systematic effort to weaken the population in order to limit their resistance to what they plan for us. And of course, it's a determined, systematic effort to weaken the population in order to limit their resistance to what they plan for us. Obviously, oh, you're a conspiracy nut. No, I just have lived here for the last 4 years. And that just could not be more obvious. And so I'm not calling for armed insurrection. I hope it doesn't get to that. I'm calling instead for a population that becomes stronger inside. And also outside. Physically stronger. I think that's worth it. But it's more than that. It's retaining your dignity and your self-respect. And by the way, when you allow people to lie to you without saying anything, when you're too afraid because of whatever and I've been there, I had 4 kids young, and I've been fired a bunch. You may have heard. Not the first time I've been fired at all. And I had to sell my house because I ran out of money. I'm not doing the woe is me thing. I'm just saying, that happens. It's not the worst thing. It's fine, actually. Getting fired, being unpopular, maybe even getting arrested, those are not the worst things that can happen to you. The worst thing that can happen to you is becoming a slave inside. The worst thing that can happen to you is becoming a slave inside. Don't let them take your dignity. And your dignity is rooted in your sense of self as a free person. I'm a free person. You may not do that to me. You don't have to shout. I'm not going to do that. And there's literally nothing you can do to make me do that. I don't want to be killed, but I'm willing to be, because I don't want to live like that. In fact, I won't, and I've already decided. The more you tell the truth, the stronger you become, and you can feel the change happening inside. And you don't have to believe in the supernatural. I happen to. But you don't even have to understand, and I don't really understand where that comes from or why, or where that power emanates from. But I've experienced it, and anyone who has told the truth experiences it too, instantly. In the same way that lying and crappy behavior and being drunk all the time, I've been there too, makes you weaker, telling the truth makes you stronger, and you can feel it. It's like a superpower. Did I just do that? And other people can feel it too. They can smell it. Dogs can smell it. The person who tells the truth is strong. Other people respect the strong. If you adopt that posture, is that they will back off. Because liars are weak. They are weak and afraid. They can't even admit that the president's senile. They are hiding behind a facade of lies. But the operative word, the verb in that sentence is hiding. They're hiding. Who hides? Weak people hide. Scared people hide. People who can't stand sunlight hide. That's who hides, and that's exactly what they're doing. They are weak, and they are afraid of the population.